This is the moment no one saw coming, the moment she finally breaks, not with noise, not with drama, not with screaming or tears falling to the floor, but with silence, the kind of silence that shakes rooms louder than anger ever could. The kind of silence that makes people uncomfortable because deep down they know. They pushed her there. For years, she was the strong one, the dependable one, the one who held everything together while everyone else fell apart. When life got hard, they called her. When bills stacked up, when dreams collapsed, when emotions overflowed, she was the container. She absorbed it all. She smiled through exhaustion. She showed up when she was breaking inside. She carried responsibilities that were never meant to be hers alone. And every time she felt like saying, "I can't do this anymore," she swallowed the words because she thought strength meant endurance. She thought love meant sacrifice. She thought loyalty meant silence. Breaking is not weakness. It is awakening. Most people misunderstand what it truly means when someone finally reaches their breaking point. They imagine chaos, tears, shouting, emotional collapse. They imagine someone losing control, but in reality, the most powerful breaking points are quiet. They happen internally. They happen in silence. They happen the moment a person sees clearly for the first time. For a long time, she believed that endurance was strength. She believed that staying patient no matter how she felt was maturity. She believed that absorbing pain without complaining made her admirable. So she kept going. She kept forgiving. She kept understanding. She kept giving chances long after those chances stopped being deserved. Every disappointment was rationalized. Every red flag was minimized. Every hurtful moment was explained away with "maybe they didn't mean it," or "I just need to try harder." That is not weakness. That is hope mixed with loyalty. But when hope is one-sided and loyalty is unreciprocated, something begins to wear down inside. It doesn't shatter all at once. It erodes slowly. A little self-respect here, a little confidence there, a little trust each time, until one day she feels tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. The breaking point arrives not when she is screaming, but when she is done explaining. Not when she is begging, but when she stops asking. Not when she is emotional, but when she becomes calm. That calm is not surrender. It is realization. Awakening is uncomfortable because it forces honesty. She begins to see patterns she once ignored. She sees how often she overextended herself. She notices how frequently her effort exceeded everyone else's. She realizes she was the one initiating, fixing, adjusting, compromising. And suddenly she asks a question that changes everything. Why am I the only one fighting this hard? That question is the spark of awakening. When she breaks, what truly breaks is the illusion. The illusion that if she just loves harder, things will change. The illusion that if she sacrifices more, she will be valued more. The illusion that being indispensable guarantees appreciation. She understands now that people get comfortable with what you consistently allow. If you allow disrespect, they normalize it. If you allow imbalance, they depend on it. If you allow your needs to be secondary, they begin to believe they are. Awakening hurts because it reveals how long she abandoned herself trying to keep everything else intact. She remembers the times she silenced her intuition. The times she felt something was wrong, but ignored it to avoid conflict. The times she chose peace over truth, and she understands something profound. Every time she dismissed her inner voice, she distanced herself from her own power. Breaking is the moment she reconnects with that power. It is not dramatic, it is decisive. She no longer argues to be understood because she understands herself. She no longer over-explains because clarity has replaced confusion. She no longer seeks reassurance because self-awareness has replaced doubt. What makes this awakening powerful is that it shifts her focus. Instead of asking, "How do I fix this?" she asks, "Why am I tolerating this?" Instead of wondering, "What do they need from me?" she begins asking, "What do I need for myself?" That shift is transformative. It moves her from survival mode into self-respect. The breaking point is where fear starts losing control. She used to fear being alone. She used to fear disappointing others. She used to fear conflict. But now she fears something greater, losing herself again. And that fear becomes her protection. It strengthens her boundaries, it sharpens her decisions, it guides her behavior. Awakening also brings responsibility. Once she sees clearly, she cannot pretend anymore. She cannot go back to tolerating what drains her. She cannot unknow what she now understands, that awareness demands action, and action might mean distance. It might mean change. It might mean letting go. None of those are easy, but they are necessary. Breaking is not the end of her strength. It is the evolution of it. Before, her strength was endurance. Now, her strength is discernment. Before, her strength was sacrifice. Now, her strength is self-respect. Before, her strength was silence. Now, her strength is standards. People may think she changed suddenly, but the truth is, she changed gradually. The breaking point was simply the visible result of invisible exhaustion. It was the moment her inner growth became external behavior, and once awakened, she becomes unshakable. Not because life gets easier, but because she becomes clearer, clear about her value, clear about her limits, clear about what she will and will not accept. That clarity is peace, that peace is power, so breaking is not weakness. It is the moment the fog lifts. It is the moment self-betrayal ends. It is the moment she chooses alignment over attachment. It is the moment she stops surviving and starts living with intention. Strength without boundaries becomes self-destruction. At first, that statement sounds dramatic. After all, strength is supposed to be admirable. Being strong means being reliable, patient, resilient, supportive. It means showing up when things are hard. It means carrying weight without complaining. For a long time, she believed that the more she could endure, the stronger she was. The more she tolerated, the more mature she appeared. The more she sacrificed, the more valuable she became. But there is a silent danger hidden inside that mindset. When strength has no limits, it turns against the very person who carries it. She became the dependable one, the one who never said no, the one who fixed problems that weren't hers, the one who adjusted her schedule, her emotions, her needs to make sure everyone else was comfortable. If someone disappointed her, she understood. If someone disrespected her, she excused it. If someone failed her, she gave them another chance. And another, and another. She told herself this was love. She told herself this was loyalty. She told herself this was what strong people do. But slowly, something inside her began to erode, because strength without boundaries sends a message. It teaches people that your time is unlimited. It teaches them that your energy is accessible at any moment. It teaches them that no matter how they behave, you will remain. And when people believe you will always remain, they stop being careful with how they treat you. She didn't notice it at first. The requests became expectations. The expectations became obligations. The obligations became pressure, and the pressure became exhaustion. She was always available, yet rarely prioritized. Always understanding, yet rarely understood. Always supportive, yet rarely supported. The strongest people often struggle the most in silence because they are used to being the solution. They are not used to being the one who needs help. And when they do need help, they hesitate to ask because they don't want to appear weak. So they keep carrying, they keep enduring, they keep giving, but giving without replenishing leads to depletion. Boundaries are not walls built to push people away. They are guidelines that protect self-respect. Without them, strength becomes self-neglect. She thought saying yes made her kind. She thought absorbing hurt made her mature. She thought tolerating inconsistency made her patient. But in reality, she was teaching others that her limits did not matter. Every time she ignored her discomfort to keep the peace, she betrayed a piece of herself. Every time she allowed behavior that hurt her just to avoid confrontation, she reinforced the idea that her feelings were secondary. Over time, this creates resentment not only toward others, but toward herself, because deep down, she knew. She knew when something felt unfair. She knew when effort was one-sided. She knew when her kindness was being taken for granted. But she overrode that inner voice because she didn't want to disrupt the image of being strong. True strength, however, is not about endurance alone. It is about discernment. It is knowing when to give and when to step back. It is recognizing when support becomes sacrifice. It is understanding that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. When she finally began setting boundaries, it felt uncomfortable. People who benefited from her limitless strength questioned her. They called her distant. They called her different. They said she changed, and she had, but not in the way they thought. She stopped responding immediately to every demand. She stopped over-explaining her decisions. She stopped volunteering to fix what she did not break. She learned to say no without guilt. And that single word no became her shield. At first, guilt tried to creep in. She worried about disappointing others. She worried about being perceived as selfish. But then she realized something powerful. The only people upset by your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. Strength with boundaries is balanced. It allows her to give without draining. It allows her to love without losing herself. It allows her to support without sacrificing her own stability. Instead of being constantly available, she became intentionally present. Instead of being endlessly tolerant, she became selectively accepting. The difference changed everything. Her energy improved because she was no longer overextended. Her relationships improved because expectations became clearer. And her self-respect deepened because she was finally honoring her limits. Boundaries do not weaken strength, they refine it. They transform it from reckless endurance into sustainable power. They ensure that her kindness is not exploited and her loyalty is not abused. They protect her emotional well-being while allowing her to remain compassionate. She learned that it is not her job to carry everyone. It is not her responsibility to fix every situation. It is not her obligation to stay where she feels diminished. Strength does not mean tolerating everything. It means choosing wisely what you will tolerate. In the end, she understood that without boundaries, strength turns inward and begins to destroy confidence, peace, and identity. But with boundaries, strength becomes unstoppable. It becomes controlled, intentional, and respected. Patience has limits, and once those limits are crossed, there is no return. Patience is often praised as a virtue. It is seen as maturity, emotional intelligence, and strength. She took pride in being patient. She believed that if she just waited a little longer, understood a little deeper, forgave one more time, things would improve. She believed that love required tolerance and that growth required endurance, so she stayed calm when she felt hurt. She stayed quiet when she felt dismissed. She stayed hopeful when evidence told her otherwise. But patience, when stretched too far, begins to feel less like virtue and more like self-neglect. At first, her patience was genuine. She understood that nobody is perfect. She accepted mistakes. She allowed room for growth. She believed in second chances. Then second chances turned into third chances. Third chances turned into patterns. Patterns turned into cycles, and cycles became normal. The dangerous part about prolonged patience is that it slowly shifts standards. What once felt unacceptable starts to feel tolerable. What once hurt deeply starts to feel routine. The mind adapts in order to survive discomfort. She told herself she was being strong, but in reality, she was slowly lowering the bar to avoid confrontation. People around her mistook her patience for permanence. They assumed she would always stay. They assumed she would always understand. They assumed she would always forgive. And when someone believes you will never leave, they stop fearing the consequences of their behavior. She noticed the imbalance, but she silenced her concerns. She didn't want to seem dramatic. She didn't want to cause conflict. She didn't want to lose connection, so she kept extending grace beyond what was healthy. Every time she felt disappointment, she rationalized it. Every time she felt disrespected, she minimized it. Every time she considered walking away, she convinced herself to wait. Waiting became a habit, but inside, something was shifting. Patience does not disappear suddenly, it erodes. Each unfulfilled promise removes a layer. Each repeated mistake weakens tolerance. Each moment of feeling undervalued tightens the emotional space inside. She became quieter, not because she was content, but because she was observing. She stopped reacting the way she used to. She stopped arguing. She stopped explaining in long emotional paragraphs. That quietness was not peace, it was evaluation. And then came the moment that changed everything. It was not necessarily the biggest offense. It was not the loudest argument. It was simply the moment when she realized she had reached her limit. There is a specific kind of calm that happens when patience expires. It is not explosive, it is final. When patience reaches its end, emotions do not beg anymore, they detach. She no longer tried to fix what was broken alone. She no longer tried to convince someone to value her correctly. She no longer tried to prove her worth through extra effort. The energy she once invested in preserving the relationship or situation shifted inward. This is why there is no return. When someone has given their maximum patience, they have already exhausted every internal justification to stay. They have replayed conversations in their mind. They have imagined better outcomes. They have hoped for change more times than anyone realizes. By the time they finally step back, they are not acting impulsively. They are acting after long internal debate. People are often shocked when the patient one walks away. They say, "But you never complained." They say, "Why didn't you tell me it was this serious?" They fail to understand that silence does not equal satisfaction. Silence sometimes means someone is deciding whether you still deserve access to them. The truth is, once her limit was crossed, something irreversible happened. Respect shifted. Emotional investment decreased. Hope faded, and hope is crucial. When hope disappears, attachment weakens quickly. She did not leave because she stopped caring. She left because she cared too long without reciprocation. She did not detach because she was heartless. She detached because she was exhausted from carrying the emotional weight alone. There is a powerful lesson in this. Patience is not infinite. No matter how loving, understanding, or loyal someone is, there is a threshold. And once crossed, rebuilding becomes nearly impossible because the foundation of trust has already cracked repeatedly. When she reached her limit, she did not slam doors. She closed them quietly. She did not announce her decision dramatically. She adjusted her behavior. She reduced her availability. She redirected her focus. The emotional energy that once fueled tolerance now fueled independence. And here is the most important part. Once someone experiences the clarity that comes after their patience ends, they rarely return to who they were before. They remember how long they waited. They remember how often they excused behavior. They remember how much of themselves they sacrificed to maintain something that was not equally protected. That memory becomes a boundary. Self-respect changes everything. Before she understood this, she believed that love required constant proving. She believed that if she showed enough effort, enough patience, enough loyalty, she would naturally be valued. She thought worth was something you demonstrated over and over until others finally recognized it. So she worked harder. She gave more. She tolerated more. She explained herself more clearly. She tried to be everything someone else needed, hoping that in return, she would finally feel secure. But the truth she eventually discovered was uncomfortable. When you don't fully respect yourself, you unintentionally teach others not to either. Self-respect is not loud. It does not demand attention. It does not seek validation. It operates quietly in decisions, in standards, in what you allow and what you refuse. Before she developed it, she confused kindness with compliance. She confused understanding with over-acceptance. She confused patience with self-abandonment. She thought keeping the peace was more important than keeping her dignity intact. Over time, that imbalance affected how she felt internally. Even if others praised her strength, she felt a subtle dissatisfaction within herself. It came from knowing she was accepting less than she deserved. It came from recognizing moments where she stayed silent instead of speaking truth. It came from agreeing to things that didn't sit right in her spirit just to avoid conflict. The shift began the moment she stopped asking, "How do I keep this?" and started asking, "Does this honor me?" That single question changed her perspective. Instead of focusing on maintaining connections at any cost, she began evaluating whether those connections aligned with her values. Instead of chasing reassurance, she paid attention to consistency. Instead of over-explaining her feelings, she observed whether they were naturally considered. Self-respect gave her clarity, and clarity gave her calm. She no longer reacted emotionally to every situation. She assessed, she observed, she measured actions against words. She understood that someone's promises mean nothing without consistent behavior. She realized that effort should not feel one-sided. She accepted that if she had to constantly convince someone to treat her well, they were not the right person to receive her energy. With self-respect, her standards quietly rose. She stopped accepting apologies without change. She stopped entertaining conversations that drained her. She stopped responding immediately to every demand placed on her time. She recognized that her availability was a privilege, not an obligation. That realization alone transformed her presence. People began to notice the difference. She wasn't as quick to accommodate. She wasn't as eager to fix everything. She wasn't as emotionally reactive. Instead, she seemed grounded, centered, certain. Certainty is powerful. When someone knows their worth internally, they no longer beg for recognition externally. She stopped trying to prove her value because she already believed in it. That belief changed her posture, her tone, her energy. She spoke less, but her words carried more weight. She explained less, but her decisions were firmer. Self-respect also meant accepting loss when necessary. This was one of the hardest parts. It required her to understand that not everyone would rise to meet her standards. Some people preferred the version of her that overgave and underasked. Some were comfortable when she tolerated more than she should have. When she stopped doing that, certain relationships shifted or ended, and that hurt. But self-respect taught her something vital. Losing people who cannot respect your boundaries is not a loss, it is alignment. She began prioritizing peace over popularity. She realized that being liked by everyone often requires compromising yourself. She chose instead to be aligned with herself, even if that meant fewer people understood her. That decision strengthened her internally. Self-respect also removed the need for revenge or validation. She no longer felt the urge to prove anyone wrong. She no longer needed to announce her growth. She focused on living it. She invested in her goals, her health, her discipline. She redirected the energy once spent on overthinking into self-development. The transformation was visible but quiet. Her confidence was no longer fragile because it wasn't dependent on someone else's approval. It was built on consistency between her values and her actions. When she said no, she meant it. When she said yes, it was intentional. When she walked away, she did not second-guess herself for weeks. That is the stability self-respect provides. It also changed the type of treatment she accepted. She naturally gravitated toward environments where mutual respect existed. She recognized red flags faster. She disengaged earlier. She trusted her intuition more deeply. The chaos that once felt familiar began to feel unnecessary. Self-respect did not make her cold. It made her clear. It did not make her selfish. It made her balanced. It did not make her distant. It made her discerning, and that discernment elevated every area of her life. Her relationships became healthier because they were built on mutual effort. Her work improved because she valued her time. Her emotional state stabilized because she was no longer constantly overextending. Self-respect changed everything because it changed her foundation. Instead of building her life around keeping others comfortable, she built it around staying aligned with herself. And once that alignment exists, everything else either fits or fades. Pain builds power when understood correctly. Most people try to escape pain as quickly as possible. They distract themselves, suppress their emotions, blame others, or pretend nothing happened. Pain feels uncomfortable, unfair, heavy. It shakes confidence. It disrupts routine. It forces you to face realities you may not be ready to accept. But what she eventually realized is that pain itself is not the enemy. Misunderstood pain is. For a long time, she saw pain as proof that something was wrong with her. When she was disappointed, she questioned her worth. When she was rejected, she questioned her value. When she was hurt, she questioned her judgment. She internalized experiences instead of analyzing them. She assumed if something failed, she must have failed. That belief made every setback feel personal. But pain has two paths. It can either make you bitter or it can make you better. The difference lies in how you interpret it. At first, pain broke her confidence. Sleepless nights filled with overthinking. Conversations replayed in her mind. What could I have done differently? Why wasn't I enough? Those questions drained her energy. They made her smaller. They made her doubt her instincts. Pain, when misunderstood, turns inward and attacks identity. Then something shifted. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" she began asking, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift transformed everything. She started looking at patterns instead of isolated incidents. She noticed how often she ignored early warning signs. She realized how frequently she prioritized potential over reality. She saw how she sometimes stayed longer than she should have because she feared starting over. Pain became a mirror instead of a punishment. It revealed blind spots. It exposed weaknesses not to shame her, but to strengthen her. Every disappointment sharpened her awareness, every betrayal deepened her discernment, every loss clarified her standards. The same experiences that once made her cry now made her wiser. Pain also forced independence. When support she expected disappeared, she had to stand on her own. At first, that felt terrifying, but over time, it built resilience. She discovered she could handle more than she thought. She survived conversations she feared. She survived endings she resisted. She survived loneliness she once thought would break her. Survival turned into confidence. There is a unique strength that comes from rebuilding yourself after emotional collapse. When you have felt your lowest and still found the courage to rise, fear loses power. The unknown becomes less threatening. Rejection becomes less devastating. You realize that even if things fall apart again, you now have proof that you can rebuild. Pain also refined her boundaries. Before, she tolerated behaviors because she didn't want to seem difficult. After experiencing the consequences of tolerance, she became selective. She no longer saw red flags as challenges to overcome. She saw them as information. She stopped trying to fix what drained her. Pain taught her that ignoring discomfort only delays growth. It also built emotional discipline. Instead of reacting impulsively, she responded thoughtfully. Instead of seeking revenge, she chose distance. Instead of trying to prove her worth, she invested in herself. Pain matured her reactions. It slowed her down enough to think clearly instead of emotionally. When pain is understood correctly, it becomes preparation. It prepares you for higher standards. It prepares you for better opportunities. It prepares you for healthier relationships. Without those difficult experiences, she would not recognize alignment when it appears. She would not appreciate stability. She would not value consistency the way she does now. Pain stripped away illusions. It showed her who was genuine and who was temporary. It revealed which connections were built on convenience and which were built on respect. That clarity saved her from repeating the same cycles endlessly. Most importantly, pain forced her to build an internal foundation. When external validation faded, she had to validate herself. When reassurance stopped, she had to reassure herself. When applause disappeared, she had to motivate herself. That process strengthened her from within. Internal strength is different from external praise. It cannot be taken away easily. It does not depend on circumstances. It remains steady because it was built during hardship. She no longer views painful experiences as wasted time. She sees them as training. Every tear strengthened emotional endurance. Every setback improved decision-making. Every heartbreak reinforced self-worth. Pain carved depth into her character. Now, when challenges arise, she doesn't collapse the way she once did. She analyzes, she adapts, she learns. She understands that discomfort often precedes expansion. Growth rarely feels comfortable. Transformation is rarely painless. Pain, when faced honestly, becomes fuel. It pushes you to evolve. It forces reflection. It demands accountability. It eliminates denial. She learned that avoiding pain only prolongs weakness. Confronting it builds power. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival. For the longest time, she believed that putting herself first meant hurting others. She thought that prioritizing her peace meant abandoning people. She feared that saying no would make her seem cold, distant, or unloving. So she made a habit of placing herself last. She adjusted her schedule, her emotions, her standards, and even her dreams to accommodate everyone else. She convinced herself that this was kindness. She told herself this was what strong, loving people do. But slowly, constantly choosing others over herself began to cost her something deeper than time or energy. It began to cost her identity. Every time she ignored her needs to meet someone else's expectations, a small part of her dimmed. Every time she silenced her feelings to avoid conflict, her voice weakened. Every time she sacrificed her comfort to maintain connection, she felt less connected to herself. And the most painful part was that few people noticed. They simply grew accustomed to her availability. She became reliable to everyone except herself. There is a dangerous pattern in always being the giver. You start to believe your value lies in what you provide, not in who you are. You measure your worth by how helpful, how understanding, how supportive you can be. And if you ever slow down, you feel guilty. If you rest, you feel selfish. If you choose your own needs, you feel wrong. But exhaustion has a way of revealing truth. She reached a point where she felt drained in ways that could not be fixed by sleep. She was emotionally tired, mentally overwhelmed, spiritually disconnected. And in that exhaustion, she realized something powerful. No one was coming to rescue her from the life she was overextending herself to maintain. If she did not choose herself, no one else would. Choosing herself did not mean abandoning responsibility. It meant redefining it. She was responsible for her well-being, responsible for her mental health, responsible for protecting her energy. For too long, she had carried responsibilities that were not hers, believing it made her noble. In reality, it made her depleted. The first time she said no without explaining herself, it felt uncomfortable. The first time she declined something that drained her, she felt guilt creeping in. The first time she prioritized rest over pleasing someone else, she questioned whether she was changing for the worse. But she wasn't becoming worse. She was becoming aware. Choosing yourself requires courage because it challenges expectations. People who are used to your constant availability may resist your boundaries. They may accuse you of being different. They may say you have changed, and they are right. You have changed. You have decided that your well-being matters too. Survival is not always dramatic. Sometimes survival is simply refusing to continue patterns that slowly destroy you. It is recognizing that you cannot continuously pour into others while running empty. It is understanding that love should not require self-erasure. When she began choosing herself, she started small. She protected her time. She limited conversations that drained her. She stepped back from situations that required constant emotional labor. She allowed herself to rest without justification. Each small decision rebuilt her strength. As she regained energy, her clarity improved. She thought more clearly. She reacted less emotionally. She stopped feeling overwhelmed by minor inconveniences. Protecting her peace gave her stability. And that stability made her stronger in every area of her life. Choosing herself also changed the quality of her relationships. The people who respected her boundaries remained. The ones who only valued her sacrifice slowly faded. That separation, though painful at first, created space for healthier connections. She learned that genuine relationships do not require you to shrink. They encourage you to grow. There is a misconception that selflessness is always virtuous, but selflessness without limits becomes self-abandonment. You cannot build a healthy life on constant self-neglect. You cannot maintain meaningful connections if resentment builds beneath the surface. And resentment grows when you consistently ignore your own needs. Choosing yourself interrupts that cycle. It teaches others how to treat you. It demonstrates that your time and energy are valuable. It sets a standard, and standards attract respect. Most importantly, choosing yourself rebuilds your relationship with yourself. She began trusting her intuition again. She listened when something felt wrong. She acted when something felt right. She stopped dismissing her inner voice. That trust strengthened her confidence. Now, when decisions arise, she no longer asks, "Will this make everyone else comfortable?" She asks, "Will this keep me aligned?" That alignment is peace, and peace is powerful. Choosing yourself is not about arrogance. It is about balance. It is about understanding that you deserve the same care you so freely give. It is about ensuring that your kindness does not become your weakness. It is about recognizing that survival sometimes means stepping back, reevaluating, and protecting your core.